What is going on, guys? Lurkin here from Mobalytics, and I'm coming at you with a Season 9 PTR patch note review. I'm going to go over all things Sorcerer, tell you what to look for next season, what's going to be good, what's going to be bad, and, a lot of classes are going to be bad, but if everybody's shit, nobody's shit. The biggest loser of the patch was Lightning Spear. It got gutted like a fish. The biggest winner of the patch was Hydra. It got a brand new unique amulet. Fucking stoked for it. It looks really strong. I'll do a little bit of math later, but I'm pretty excited. Hydra's going to be direct damage. It's going to give it a lot of much needed area of effect. So let's talk about key passives. The ones in bold are the ones that have changed, and then I'm just sort of comparing them all to each other. Key passives are in a really good spot. I mean, not damage-wise. Obviously, we'd want more than 75%, but if everything in the game is 75%, it's fair. Combustion's a little low. It's down at 100% now, where it used to be 750%. It really got fucked. Asu's Ferocity is 75% fire crit strike damage and 40% fire crit chance. It's going to be really good on Fireball and Meteor. Love it. Ver's Mastery, my favorite passive in the entire game, is going to be 75% damage all the time. It's directly 75% when you're on a single target, and then indirectly it's 75% damage due to damage arcing when you're mobbing. And then it's 25% all DR. I love that juicy all DR. Enlightenment got nerfed pretty hard, but it's still going to be a good option. I don't think it'll be ran this season because of the infusions are basically Enlightenment. And unless there's some form of double dip and bug when every build's going to be Enlightenment, fuck. But let's get back to it. Enlightenment is 70% all damage, 45% mana regen, and now a newly buffed up to 30% attack speed. It's no longer going to combine your fire, cold, and lightning and shove them into one. If you have 2,000 lightning bonus and like 1,000 of cold and fire, it's now going to be 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. So you're still going to get more out of it than just that raw 70% because you're going to get more additive because you're actually able to use that bonus now. So it would go from, say, 70% to, 2.25x, 1.7 to 2.25. So that's, it's, if you can get really good uptime at it, it'll be great in future seasons. I like where it's at, but this season, no, just skip it. It's going to be bugged, isn't it? It's going to be fucking bugged. Not another season of this. I don't want to build craft around Enlightenment again. All right, but now Avalanche, which is really only usable on Blizzard, it's 85% frost skill damage and 30% frost MCR. It still has issues where it doesn't buff all your cold damage, so you can't really use it on Frozen Orb or anything that uses Azarath like Ice Shards. Hydra got a new unique amulet, the Ophidian Iris. It's very nice. It comes with a fat amount of resist all elements. Casted Hydras now have 2 heads. It's got intelligence, crit chance, pyromancy damage, and +3 to devouring blaze. So Hydra is now going to be a core skill. It's always going to summon with 3 heads. The attacks are going to explode on impact, dealing AoE damage. Thank fucking God. Finally got some nice AoE. So for each head above 3 that it would have normally had, because you can get plus 12 heads on, say, a staff temper. It's now going to deal 100% more damage per head. So you would have had 15 heads. Now you have 3, and you can only get 200s. Basically, this thing's like a 3x damage amulet, so I think it's in line with normal amulets. Hydra got changed a little bit. It's no longer going to cost mana to cast. The base skill percentage went up from 23 to 35, which is pretty sizable. It's almost, they bumped it by 50%. The LHC was bumped up to 5% per bit. Battlecaster's aspect got changed. You're going to get 10 conjuration ranks out of it instead of 5. For reference, if you go from 9 to 19 ranks, that's 55% damage. Serpentine's the biggest change. It is no longer 1 extra Hydra with an increased duration. Now casting your Hydra is going to consume all your mana and give you 2.5% damage per mana spent. If you slot that bitch on a staff, it's going to be 5% per mana spent. So if you have 100 mana, consumes all your mana, 500% damage. If you have 200 mana, which can be the case if you run Axial Conduits with this fat 87% resource generation and maximum, it's going to be 1,000% damage. So I think all of these things combined, I think Hydra's going to be really good. I'm guessing A tier, S- tier. We'll see. It'll be pretty good. All right, so let's talk about Lightning Spear. They took it out back and they shot it. Rest in peace, Jon Snow, Frozen Orb. But instead of scaling off this critical strike damage bonus like it did in the past, it's now going to deal 60% of Lightning Spear's damage, and then Lightning Spear itself is going to deal 40% more increased damage. Lightning Spear got a little bit of a compensation buff, but we'll see down below mathematically it doesn't make up for it. The base skill percentage was increased from 16 to 80%, and then we get a little bump from Battlecasters, which is going to give us 10 conjuration ranks, but it's not going to be enough, and here's why. Before, we had 70x scaling of a 28% skill percentage, which gives us around 2,000. Now, we're going to get 0.6 here for the 60% of normal damage, 1.8 for doubling this on a staff for 80% damage, and then, you know, say we have 9 ranks, our skill percentage is going to be 144%. And then that's going to be 155% damage. Say we put in Battlecasters, probably get this up a bit, but it's 200%, but really it got nerfed by like 90%. It's just kind of fucked. Then we also lost Beastmaster, which was 2.5x damage. So, Spear Boys, find something new to play with. And if it couldn't get any worse, Lightning Spear had some bug fixes that really fuck it. You can no longer snapshot the overpower proc for the entire instance if it overpowered first. Thank God. CD bindings are no longer going to get 18 ranks of primordial binding. They're only going to get 8. The question remains, will we still be able to snap Roaring and Mystical Flame Shield? I fucking hope so, because the skill's really going to need it now. But, you know, primordial binding, the CD bindings aren't dead. If you go from 3 to 11 ranks, it's 2x damage. If you go from 9 to 17, it's 57%. So if you're really low on ranks, so you don't have it on the amulet, or you're running a Hydra, the unique amulet there's a lot of value in running the bindings just to get 2x damage. This one's a bit of a side note, but my direct damage fire, meteor, and fireball enjoyers, 3 curses has been renamed to flash fire. So it no longer is just for meteor and fireball. It's now critical strike damage of all pyromancy skills by 45%. Double this bonus against healthy target. And as always, there were various performance, stability, visual, UI, and audio improvements. Alright, now let's talk about these Horadric Powers. It's in a UI that we've seen before, very similar to the past, but the whole thing boils down to a catalyst that you slot in a specific slot. The catalyst provides effects, like one's a mana blast that pushes away enemies, and there's a lightning thing that goes back and forth, and there's another one that's like a big pull that sucks enemies in, so it does some effect. There's an infusion where you can change the elemental damage that the catalyst does. Fire, shadow, cold, poison, lightning. There's 3 Arcana, which are your modifiers that will give you some effects. And then there's 3 more Jewels that provide additional other effects, as we'll get into. So, alright, so let's talk about the catalyst. It's the main power, it's the foundation of everything. It gets slotted right here in this part of the UI, and then that corresponds to your 6th skill slot. You can put it wherever you want. When you cast this, it will proc the catalyst. The catalyst has a cooldown. We'll see where we can end up getting it. But this one, it's a pull. So where I would cast Hydra, a pull would occur, suck enemies into that spot. There's other additional effects, and there's some like lucky hit chance. So you have some stars that periodically fall around you. And it just says stars. We don't know what damage type they are. So that brings us into our infusion. So our infusion, the spell catalyst now deals cold or frostbiting damage. So we're able to choose the element that we want our catalyst to be. And what's cool about that is while it's equipped, your cold damage bonus is equal to that of your highest damage type bonus. So this is essentially free enlightenment. So for all your cold damage now, because let's look at this here. So we have 1,000 lightning additive. We have 789 damage with cold. But because we're running Enchantment Master and we have 2 lightning enchantments, you know, Enchantment Master, then some of the non-physical X stuff on our glyphs, that boost us up to 1800%. So what would happen is our damage with cold would get jumped all the way to 1800%. It could be pretty sneaky good on some Azarath builds. I plucked this out of my Chain Lightning thing that I've been working on for next season. So what's cool about that is the damage formula typically only takes this 1,000 or the 789, but it'll now take this 1800 for our cold damage. So that's really awesome. It's basically free enlightenment where we actually get to use the bonus for once. Next is the Arcanas. You get 3 of them. They're going to modify the catalyst in cheeky ways. They're just the modifier powers right here. There's 3 of them. They go off when the catalyst activates. It'll grant unstoppable or unhindered for a few seconds, increase resource gen, attack speed. It'll increase the catalyst effect size. It'll deactivate damage resistance auras. So instead of removing them from the game, they make us slot these fucking powers to do it for us. Great stuff. Apply vulnerable or freeze. And then for dot builds, there's a lucky hit. There's a 40% chance to consume all the dot damage and apply it instantly. So instead of having to wait 8 seconds or so for Inferno to stack up all its damage, you can just apply it all at once, which solves some of the immediacy damage that burn builds have. And then there's like an execute for non-bosses, so it's just like a free fireball, greater fireball cast. And then there's Jewels, which gets slotted in the rings in the Amulet instead of our skulls and diamonds. They're going to have 120 armor and 6% all resist instead of, the grand ones, which have 240 armor or 12%. So these ones are more like quality of life, but there is some damage here. Crit chance, LHC, barrier gen, damage with summons after killing an enemy. Deal 20% more elemental damage, but you take 10% more. This one will probably get slotted for abusing the infusions. It's one that gives main stat, max life, and permanently grants us unhindered. I think Bog is back. I don't know if it's permanently, but there's 25% Catalyst CDR. And then last but not least, there's this cool one, Tyrant Bane, which is for dot builds, which for Sorc are pretty dead in the water. But after you deal damage over time to an enemy, they take 0.33% more damage over time from you forever. I know we see this X and we get super horny about it, but each time you apply this 0.33, it's just going to keep adding up and adding up, so it's going to look linear. It's not going to scale exponentially. So now we come to our conclusion of the video, which is my tier list prediction. And some of these are really up in the air. There were such massive nerfs all over the place, and so many things changed that I don't exactly know how they're going to end up shaking in the meta. But relative to Sorc itself, I think the Azarath builds, Chain Lightning, Ice Shards, and Charge Bolts are going to be very strong. I think Meteorite builds are also going to be really strong, scaling the direct damage due to how good Armageddon and Shattered Stars are. Hydra is a bit up in the air for me. I don't know. I would guess A+ tier, maybe at best S-. I don't know if it's going to stack up to the Azarath builds, but we'll see. I think Blizzard, Fireball, and Ball Lightning are just going to be the same old tier that they are, which is, a few pit tiers below the Azarath setups, but they're going to be old, reliable, and fine. Frozen Orb and Lightning Spear have fallen from grace. Rest in peace, Jon Snow. We'll see where they end up. My guess is B tier, maybe low A tier. We'll see. And the burn builds, I think they're just fucked this season. I think they're going to be really great to level with, as they always are, because they're really strong out the gate. But combustion got hit so hard, it's going to take a while for them. I don't know. The devs over-nerfed the shit out of combustion. So we'll see what ends up happening after the PTR. Maybe I'll bitch up a storm. And then Arc Lash basic skill builds are still going to be terrible. So they buffed basics by 2x, and then they also nerfed Moonrise and adaptability. So it's like up, down. So where did it go? Nowhere. All right. That's all I got. I'm looking forward. I'm really only going to test... Who am I kidding? I'm going to test everything in the PTR, but I'm really looking forward to testing Hydra, and I'll let you guys know what I come up with. See ya.